technology and that sort of thing, but I do use a lot of video in my classes that I teach. So I teach 8th grade English and Bible in this room. And I use video for a lot of student assignments, mostly for me watching their work rather than, so I just went to the one video for instruction, which is more likely to teach using video. So I don't do as much of that. But I tried it out and I do really like it. So why do I use video? Students communicate more honestly in person, so I like the person, like face-to-face aspect of it, even though it's through a screen, so it's not exactly face-to-face. But I use it in both English and Bible, but primarily in Bible class, because I have my students write a lot of reflections. So we do a unit on spiritual disciplines, so that's what we're doing right now. And for assignments, we're practicing things like fasting and meditating and reading scripture and praying, and those are hard things to grade traditionally. So what I grade them on is their reflection on it. What do they communicate that they have understood the concepts? Can they, tell them back to me? And how did it go for them? So I used to have students do this on Google Classroom just in the form of writing. However, in writing, a lot of students struggle to communicate things like feelings and emotions in a way that is honest and open. So I found a lot more success, even though they're not using correct grammar and sometimes they're really silly in their videos. At least I can see more of that personality and that honest reflection in a different way. And I do teach English, so I also get to see both sides of them. So I'm not excluding the one, but I really appreciate that about it. I get to also see much more of their personality. So what I tell them in these videos, sometimes they are terrified about the idea of putting their faces on a video, which I'm not very comfortable with as well. But they look at me like, oh dear, another video. But I just encourage them so much. I just love seeing them, right? They do these at home, so I tell them at the beginning of the year, just introduce themselves to me, and they have to take that home, and I don't give them necessarily requirements. I just say, what should I know about you? And I get to see so many of their pets and their siblings and their parents, and so I get to see so much of them that I wouldn't see before when I just had them tell me about themselves. And I also tell them that I do a lot of talking in class, and we have to do a lot of things, and when there are 24 people in the room, I don't get to hear their stories and as much as I would like to. So this is an opportunity for me to get to know them, and they don't have the pressure of, oh, other people are going to see it. So I would show you some of these videos, but I told them that I'm the only one who sees them, so I don't want to, break their trust in that. And not that they're sharing always deep and dark things, but sometimes they do share my parents are going through divorce and that's really hard, or things that are actually really helpful and are harder for them to communicate in just writing. So I like to see their personality, so I thought this one, hello Mrs. K, I hope you like my awesome video, right? They're sometimes really excited in it. Some of them I have to talk a lot about not the up the nostril angle, right? As beautiful as their nostrils are, and try to, they learn some of those skills as well. Some of them are very monotone. Hey, Mrs. Cornellis, right? But other ones you can just see they got a talent for this, so it's good for them to get that out. And also I think that they feel less pressure than when they're writing. So a lot of the students that do struggle with writing, or I don't know if my grammar is correct, so I'm not going to say that, or I'm not going to, there are different pressures, I think, when I make them put their face on the screen. So can it just be a black screen? No, I was here. So I use WeVideo for these things. So I'm going to talk mostly just about WeVideo. I don't know very much about all the technology things, so when I find one that works, I just grasp on. Okay, and this one has worked very well. So the things that I've appreciated about specifically WeVideo is that I can easily monitor their progress, unlike some other sites or things that are out there. So even if they're just recording it on their phone, sometimes, oh, can I just record this on my GoPro or my phone? And usually I say no, because through WeVideo you can add the students to a class, and then I can actually go and see what projects they're working on. So even if they haven't turned it in yet, I can see whether they've even started. And I can't tell that about, they could say, oh, I did it on my GoPro, but I lost it. I can more easily monitor that on WeVideo. And now I don't always do that, but it's nice to have the option. I can for me personally, I like that I only have to manage one media platform for it, because if I had to explain to them when they have technology questions about, iMovie or this and that, I know that there are benefits to having the student choice in choosing the platform that they're using, but for me that gives me a little bit of anxiety, so I need to do more education before I'm comfortable with that. So I like this with WeVideo, and also it's very user friendly. So I didn't, I played around with it before I had the students work on it the first year that I had them do this, but they've been teaching me things as I go. So they're able to figure things out, and so I kind of go over just, here are some types of things, now go explore, and they're really good at that. And some do more than others. For my Bible videos, since they're reflections, I don't make them do a whole lot of the special effects and that sort of thing for those assignments, but some still do, right? And I make my assignments, they're usually about 2 to 3 minutes long, depending on the assignment, but I get kids that turn in 12-minute videos because they just got so much to say. But I didn't get, 12-page reflections when I was doing the writing. And I tell them, so for me personally, like, give me as much as you want. Like, I'll watch it, I'll listen to you talk, right? But when it's, something that they're into, I can really tell, right? And the students that have their, I just had a student the other day that I had them answer these different questions, and instead of just saying, this is my answer to this question, she had her parents in the background say, so Sarah, why are you choosing this, right? And so you can just see that engagement that I wouldn't always see in the other way. So very user-friendly. Another benefit of this is that it can be easily turned in on Google Classroom. So I'm even though I can go into WeVideo and see their personal progress on their video, I tell them I don't even look at it unless they turn it in on Google Classroom. I put these on here only because, they're just up here. But I put this picture because you can see that this person, so I don't even have to, I can just scroll through and see. If I don't see a snapshot, right? So you can see personality showing already. But this one, it says login WeVideo. I can tell right away that that person hasn't turned it in correctly. And so what I can do is immediately see that and then comment before I have to, if I'm watching all these videos, sometimes that would be days later before I notice. But on Google Classroom, I can see right away. So what I did here is I just told this person, hey, this isn't the right link. I comment, this is how you do it. Turn it in, and she just reposted it here, so you can see that she actually did that. And then by the time I could say hey, that's great. I also like it on Google Classroom because I can give them quick feedback. So I'm not responding in a 2 to 3 minute video for each kid, but I can at least, I like to talk about something specific here. So I mentioned, she talked about she really wanted to be in the FBI, and I thought that's awesome. So I talked about that in the comment, reply back, so they know, okay, she watched it, and she's like, okay, and then she gets her grade. So, so that's just a little bit about what I use that for. And then it's also, so when I had them give me a 3-minute video introducing themselves to me, I also made one for them because I told them I know that it's difficult putting your face on the screen, and it's not the most comfortable thing for me either, but I made one and I showed them my dogs and introduced them to my husband and to, just random things about me, and I made it the day before school, so I was how excited I was to meet them. And so I like it for also giving something to them, but I don't do very many of those where I'm making videos for them. But I just wanted to show you some of the, this is what it would look like if you had one, except you wouldn't see my precious dogs here. And then you can go to projects, media, right? This is where these are all my videos that I recorded, so really cute faces, right, that they have of you. And then exports would be the ones that I've made. Groups, this is where I've had classes that you can make, but if you go to your dashboard, you can create new videos really easily. And they've got all sorts of features, so you can choose these clips, you can add videos that you've recorded, so this red dot here, you do have to do some prep work getting your account set up, but Ben and Nathan are awesome at helping with those sorts of things. And also if you have questions, I've done this troubleshooting for a long time, so that would be easy. But you can add transitions, so text, just basically like iMovie, except you don't have to have an iPad. So for our students, they're all one-to-one with Chromebooks, so they can just use the Chromebook here. They don't have to have something extra. You can record it on your phone and upload it here as long as this connects to your Google Drive. So if you have any video on Google Drive, you can put it here. There are music, sound effects, which they have a lot of fun with. I sometimes get videos with just a cat meowing in the background for the whole time. There's like personality, But you also can, just do all sorts of fun things. Another project I have the students work on with using WeVideo is in English class. For one of their book reports, I've had them write, so practicing different tone and different styles of writing. So for one book report, they have to actually create a talk show or an awards ceremony for the characters in their book, so acknowledging character development and growth. And then I used to just have them write it out, but that was kind of boring, so now I have them present it, but they have to, record themselves, and then they can make these transitions, and like some of them have a nice, like, fancy background, and so they can just have fun with it, but it also saves, I'm the only one usually who sees those two because they're usually pretty long, but they can be creative and learn a lot of the skills that a lot of them really just are interested in video making and that sort of thing. So that's that. You can, kind of see all the features here, but you just kind of mess around with it. Like you just drag this stuff down here. You can use green screens with it. You can do all sorts of really fun things.
Can they record their screen?
Yeah.
And talk?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like screencasting.
Yeah, so when you go to record, you can record your screen or webcam. So, and then after that, right, they can do the same sorts of things where they can draw on it and, those sorts of things. And our school has an account, so they've all got access. The free account, you can't use all the features, but
as long as you sign in with your CDC account, you get all the things.
Yeah, well, they have to type in that group code.
Oh, that's only if they did it wrong.
Oh.
If they do the group code to get into your class, they have to do that.
Yeah.
But they can create a WeVideo account and get access to all the features. But then, when you set up your class so that you can see all their progress, they have to do the group code.
Yes.
Yep.
So
They do that in WeVideo, or do you do it through does WeVideo have other things like GoGuardian upload my current classroom?
No, it's within WeVideo. I don't think, last I checked, it doesn't interface with Google Classroom.
no, but you can, they still have a lot of the names in there, so you can just kind of type them.
You could either create your class and add them all individually, or you could give them all a code and say, everyone type this code.
Do it in the class. Yeah, but I just enjoy them. It's grading, that's fun to do, and I'm just usually either like laughing or crying because they're just it's just so cute. So yeah.
How many students do you have that you're watching videos for usually?
70. Last year was 90. So that's why I usually make them pretty short, and I tell, that's why I like to give them the feedback right away, like, hey, this isn't done correctly, and then it takes me a few days to grade them and give them back. But it's also for Bible right now, it's a Tuesday, Thursday class, so they're not turning them in. They've done so far this year 3. So it's not all the time, but it's, once we've done a unit or everything. Yeah. Any other questions?
So for lower grades, is this way too complicated?
You can get WeVideo on iPads.
Okay, I just looked it up, but there's an app.
And
so
I would say if you set it up on a thing and just had them record it in class in groups and then had them do some, I think you could definitely do it, right? And maybe if you helped them, okay, what do we want this to
So they have to
say? But
they have to I just learned Nearpod, and I could be ask them a question hey, please respond, what was the main idea of the book that you just read? Would they have to click on how
that would be within the Nearpod app.
Okay, I know, but how it's in there, do they have to click a new, can I give instruction on it, or they're just picking a video and clicking it?
In Nearpod or on WeVideo?
On WeVideo.
No, WeVideo is mostly just a video recording tool. It's
Okay.
not one that you're providing a prompt.
Okay,
Is that my understanding?
yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
yeah, so I would,
Okay.
if you were doing it for a younger class, I would say you could say, we want to see this. You could send them around with an iPad to record
Well, you could have
something
them like
around the
record their
classroom.
share, right? Like in
Yeah.
kindergarten, I could be like, record your share clues, and then I could play it on the TV.
Yeah.
And then,
But actually, the sort of things that you
That'd
guys
be
are
kinda
describing
fun.
maybe align more with Flipgrid.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
okay.
I
Either
would
way.
have swore fifth grade did something, or fourth grade. I remember my daughter saying something about WeVideo.
They
Does that make
do,
sense for elementary?
yes, in fourth grade, they did a WeVideo project.
Oh, all right.
They
And
make
so,
commercials.
Mhm.
Ah,
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so for iPads, WeVideo is more closely aligned with an iMovie.
Okay.
But the benefit to this is,
This does look like iMovie.
it does, and it's actually quite powerful. I mean, you can do all sorts of effects, green screens and things like that. But one benefit that this had, that Ally mentioned, is she can see their progress as they go.
Yeah.
Because they all have accounts. So once they're all joined to that class code, you can go in anytime and make sure they're working on that
Yeah.
project. Which is, when they're all working on iMovie together, you have to grab their iPad and see
Yeah.
where they're at. So if that's beneficial to you, you can do that, but if you want to just use iMovie, that's totally the same thing.
I'm still a little fuzzy on how you like get a class in here.
I'm a
So
little
it's-
fuzzy on it too, because I have to remind myself.
I actually haven't done it this year, but if you go here, you say create group, and then I would just make it this group, and so like our students are already in here, and if they're not, like, so I can say Bible A.
There is, if you go to tech.cdc.org and go to the video section, a screencast on how to get WeVideo set up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so then if I just find.
Also, if you didn't want to monitor their progress necessarily, they could just record and then
Here's the code.
submit the link
And
to
then
classroom,
Yes.
yeah?
pop up.
Yes.
So they just
yeah,
have
I got
WeVideo.
that right here.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was
Yeah.
checking.
And
'cause
then
I just-
once
It's only if you want
They
progress
already have an
monitoring.
account,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
they just have to log in
Yeah,
with.
or, and
Because
when you're the teacher, you can also edit their project.
So then, and then
Like
once
you
they
have
are.
access
in
to it.
here,
Oh, okay.
they'll
So if
have
they're,
all
if they're at
access.
home,
So, yeah,
like, hey, how do I do this? And if you wanted to.
Once they go there
you
and
could
say,
just be
sign
like,
in
oh,
with
move this down the track.
Got it.
Yeah,
For better
just
or
log in
worse.
with Google. Yeah, so though there is, if you're not logged in, so sometimes it'll say you do not have access to this media, but that's just because you need to be logged in order to see theirs,
On
which
the
is kind of
CDC.
nice, because then not everyone can just see all of their videos. But it does make it, yeah, once they finish their video, it's just a web address, so they can pop it up
Did you
anywhere.
do this last year? You had to, because all I did like 2 weeks ago with my freshman class is just say, hey, I want you to make a video on WeVideo.
And they were just
Did
like,
it magically
And
happen?
so you have to say thank you to Ally.
Yes. And I just looked it up on my, you just turned this in Tuesday and I haven't really, I'm like, aha.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, yeah, for the high schoolers, they should all be really familiar with it by that point, at least the basics, unless you want them to do something really specific with video making, but
this
I'm
really,
sure.
in my opinion, this is the best video making and editing tool on Chromebooks.
Well, that's what I needed. I needed someone to do it. I mean, I needed it on the Chromebooks. They had to be able to do it. Yeah, so this is great.
Because I've had them do screencastify, but that's pretty limited.
Right.
Right, and that's, just if you want to do screencasting,
Yeah.
that's, kind of a one
Right.
trick tool.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that this does screencasting as well.
Yeah, maybe easier, instead of using Screencastify, if they're familiar with WeVideo, to do that.
Sure.
They've also done Screencastify.
Yeah, I think right now, actually, Dorinda and Jim are doing them, so they should.
Okay, they can use either though.
You can use either, yeah. So what you were describing, Aaron, just kind of like you want to kind of provide a prompt and then have them give
Yeah.
feedback. That is almost exactly what Flipgrid is designed to do.
Okay.
So that's very serendipitous that we're talking about that. So I've created this Flipgrid here just for this class. And if you all have devices, I would like you to join it. So if you go to flipgrid.com/house1010, you can join my Flipgrid. Oops, that's not what I want.
Oh,
This is what I want.
can I log in? Yeah. log in.
Flipgrid.com/house1010. You might have to sign in with, click the sign in with Google account to get in.
House what?
House 1010.
Okay.
I made it yesterday, even though it's 11 today, so it's 1010. And that should give you access to my Flipgrid. So I struggled a little bit with the terminology that Flipgrid uses, because you have a grid, which I was imagining like a physical grid, but that's not it at all, it's just a list. So you have a grid, which is a list of topics. So I've put 2 topics in my grid. I have introductions and favorite thing to teach. You could have a grid that would be for your 5th period civics class, for example. And then you've got different topics in there for the different things you're talking about. So right now, for my favorite thing to teach, I would like you, so if you open that up, I'm gonna see what this looks like for you students. I added a prompt here, and I could have just made a video of myself asking you this, but I'm asking, what topic or activity do you look forward to teaching? Like, do you have something in the school you're really like, oh, I can't wait for the unit on frogs. Like, I love teaching about them. That's my favorite thing. So, what I'm hoping to do is if you click on this green plus button, you could give me a quick video response on that prompt. You could say, so I'm asking you to do this right now. This is a live demo. Please think about something that you think is awesome to teach. Click the plus button and say,
Really lovely.
Yeah.
My webcam doesn't work, so.
Oh, no. You could be in the background of mine.
Hi.
I love teaching about frogs, because frogs are jumping in
Oh, we have 1 minute and 30
You want us
seconds.
to talk about it? Do it right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Can everyone start at the same time?
At the same time.
What have I liked?
Mine says Chrome camera and mic help.
I love teaching about area because it's very.
Because they jump around a lot.
I don't have a certain
And,
subject that I like.
Actually, I don't. Like, by my second frogs, I'm clearly talking. No, I'm looking forward to making more videos and having kids turn them in.
I love
But I like
about
to
science.
find things
We're going to
that
talk
you
about
can
next
do
week.
for others. It's really fun.
All right, anyway.
Alright.
Can you click go? Do you want to
Should have a countdown.
I can't do this with both shirts.
Yeah.
It's all backwards.
In the spring, because you can bring in real things.
Sound.
Sure, go for it. I love teaching in regards to audio,
Send it.
especially in regards to worship.
Take a
Create
selfie.
an atmosphere for
Yeah.
people to
Take a selfie.
and
You can take it over and over. Don't worry.
Refresh.
Okay, well, in the interest of time, we're just going to take a look at what everyone has
Never
here.
was there.
A certain subject that I like, or topic I like teaching.
So I have, oh shoot. I got out there.
That's really
So I've got 3 responses here, and I am viewing this as a student right now. So this is probably what you all see, is you can kind of see the responses that your classmates have made. So if there's a topic where you really just want to have some classroom discussion, we just read a chapter of a story and you want them all to say, this is what this character, maybe the prompt is, what is this character thinking in this story? And you could even give different prompts to different students and they all have to reply about a different character, and then the students can go to the Flipgrid and they can view each other's responses. And so I could, as a student, click on Amy's. Oh, and your speakers are not.
Oh, did I?
No, the speakers are not.
Oh, I was like, that's okay.
And I can just kind of go through
That's cute.
and just hear everybody's story, and then I, as another student, could even reply. So that green button lets me reply back to Steve and say, I also love teaching about frogs. That's so exciting. I'm glad that we get to do that together. And then Steve goes, oh, here's my selfie again. Then Steve would be able to see on his that I have submitted a response to his video.
I see that. There's a circle in the upper right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to dissecting frogs because they jump around a lot. And, actually, I don't dissect frogs. Like, if I'm dissecting frogs, I'm clearly off topic.
I also love teaching about frogs. That's so exciting. I'm glad that we get to do that together. So, you can interact with your fellow students. But then if I go back to my teacher view of the favorite things to teach, I can see all of the responses here. And I could reply just to a student if I want. I could give feedback
I don't
just to
have a
Aaron.
certain subject that I like, or topic I like teaching every year, but I like.
So I have the same option here where I can reply, and that would be visible to all students, or I could do just video feedback here, and that would just be to Erin. So if she had something and I maybe wanted to critique it, or I don't know, say something that just was between her and I could do that. So that's one way that you can use Flipgrid. Yes, please.
Can you make it that, maybe I missed that they can't see each other's responses?
Yes, so when you create your topic, so let me go back to my topic, I can edit this, and under my video features, I can choose video moderation. And this is where I said, you guys can just post your responses and they'll appear automatically. I can flip this switch and then I have to approve all these videos before they just show up to everyone.
Oh,
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, but they will.
Same thing with their initial videos.
You're saying you want people to respond, but only the people that get responded to can see it? Is that what you're saying?
Or you're hiding it from their view.
Until he approves it.
You're hiding it from student view, but you don't have to approve it ever. You could just
I
say,
could just
these
not
are
approve
just for me. Like if I were doing my Bible videos here, they would not want other people to
Yes.
see these or respond to their videos.
So this one turns off the student replies, but you're saying I'll prompt and then their videos would just go to me. You could just turn this moderation on and then never approve them.
Okay.
And then no one would ever see them but you. Yep,
Okay.
very good. We'll turn that back off. So you can also, so Jim, for example, is doing this with his students, and I wanted to get access to it, but I forgot to ask in time. But his students did screencasts in their grids, and they talked about, they did a Google slide presentation about different presidents, and then they would upload that screencast to Flipgrid, and other students could kind of reply on, oh, this is similar to the president that I did, or Jim could.
Is that why we did it to Flipgrid?
Sure.
Oh. That was my big question, because I didn't know why we actually did that.
Yeah, and you could have just turned them in via Google Classroom and you could have just graded them. But this way, all the students get to see the presidents that they talked about with each other. And sometimes there's value in that. Sometimes you just want to have them all learn about the same topic, but sometimes there are occasions where you might kind of distribute. There are 8 or 9 things we want to talk about here. We'll do these 8 or 9 groups, you do them, and then we all kind of share those group presentations. That's something that you might do. Flipgrid is a way for you to do that. And then you could also say, okay, so I'm going to go to, see if I can find the example. So if I go to view, this is another one that Nathan had done with his students, because I don't have occasion to do these very often, so I had to borrow some from other people. You can just choose, so there's 119 replies from these students here. And like Ali said, a lot of them just want to do a blank screen, so I think some of these are just like.
The third scenario was when this guy was doing a report.
So they don't want to have their faces shown, they'll just do a blank screen. But if you had so many that are like this, and I'm a student, I just want to see what some of my students are saying about the same topic, I can just hit right now. And I can just
My answer to question A was that it was the scenario with the capping, and
and I can just, it'll go through random ones.
the first choices I made.
A variety of responses to the same thing. But then, back as a teacher, I can view all of the responses over here. And, I can view them all in a more sequential order and give feedback and things like that. I haven't learned, so Steve, can you humor me for a second and go back to your frog one? Are you able to reply to my reply?
I'm looking forward to dissecting frogs.
Okay,
Click
so
on Ben's reply, clicking on.
I also love teaching about frogs. That's so exciting. I'm glad to see
He only gets a back arrow.
No,
Okay, so you can't reply to my reply. We can't.
There was a
video
reply
conversation.
on your video though.
So everyone else can also reply to that video.
oh wait, I guess I can, there's a little bubble that pops up.
Okay,
Mike just showed me.
so you could reply to my reply.
I could just.
So I don't know if it'll reply to your reply or if it'll just put a reply on his video.
Sure.
Because it's from that main screen, so maybe it will just add another reply.
Yeah. So there's also, how many of you were in a Nearpod presentation last session? You remember learning about there's like that Nearpod library where there's already some pre-made Nearpods. This has a similar thing where it's the Disco library. So these are ones that people have, they've already made some Flipgrid prompts. And so if you have, your audience is preschool and kindergarten, and your subject is probably not business.
Science, do science.
Okay, we'll do science. So you can search for, okay, here are some,
States of matter.
there you go, so you can do states of matter. This is actually a Nearpod lesson that's been turned into a Flipgrid.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can just pull those up, they're pre-made prompts, and the students can just give their video responses there. You can get ideas that way.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So, and I was surprised at how, there's 40 topics on kindergarten, preschool
Yeah.
science.
How did you find the disco library?
So right now you're all students in my class, so you just have a student view. But when
Okay, got it,
if you
got it.
sign in and you say
Okay.
I'm a teacher, then you get this whole other
Got it,
interface.
okay.
And then it's up here where it says Disco Library.
Yep.
And there's really nothing to it. You just go to flipgrid.com and it asks you are a student or a teacher, and you say I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like I did this once on Dr. Seuss Day, and we went through a national question. There was with other schools in the U.S.
Oh.
We
Yes, you
responded
can
to,
totally do that. So when I create, let's go to this one, and I'm going to add a new topic. I can add whatever topic I want, national something. And I do my prompts, which I have to have. And you can add, so this is where I could have chosen, I want to do a video, that I do a video and you respond to my video. You can also just upload a video you already have, you can put a picture on there, any number of these things to add as your prompt. But then, oops, I hate that too. I need to edit it. So during the edit process, you can, oh, sorry, I lied. It's not in the topic, it's in your grid. So my grid as a whole, I can say only these email addresses are allowed to join this grid.
Okay.
So when I set that up, I said you have to be a member of cdc.org or students.cdc.org to join my grid. So that one that you did was a number of all these other schools. They just opened it wide up. And they said, anyone from anywhere can join this grid and respond to these questions. Is that what you're describing?
I did it with I did it at Hanford, and I did it with the third teacher. So she helped. It was our reading buddies
Okay,
together
yep.
or whatever.
Yeah, you can do
But-
reading buddies
Yep.
across the country.
Exactly.
Or,
Yeah. I just don't know where she found. Where do you find those? I don't know. I don't even know where she
So
found
that was maybe
them.
one that was pre-made, or she had made it?
No, it was someone
Probably
else. We
made.
just went.
That is this Grid Pals.
Okay.
So I can go to this map and I can say, these are all people who are talking about a topic that are wanting someone else to join in.
Oh wow.
So, you could say, okay, I'm in pre-K, ages, no, not pre-K, I want elementary ages 5 to 10. And we were talking about, what were you talking about?
Well, we were doing Dr. Seuss, but it was language arts.
Okay, so I could search for Dr. Seuss. Let's see if we get anybody. 159 people. So you can
Oh,
there's
let's go
someone
to
here.
Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah. And so here are all of these grids that they're we're talking about this. If you want to be grid pals, we can
Talk to
we
each
can
other.
totally do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's probably exactly what you did. So I know Jacob Kitson used these, and what Ali was saying, sometimes students just need a different way to share. They're never going to write a 20-page essay on something, but they'll talk for 20 minutes about something they love. And Jacob shared some of these with me so that I could share them with you about the way students learn. And sometimes you do get some that are just like this.
Hi, my name is Case and I like math.
Which are not super helpful. But then you also get some that are like this.
So first what we need to do is distribute. So then now we turn into negative 4x minus 28 plus 9, because we distributed the 4 to each, equals 5 minus 6x minus 16. So now we need to combine like terms so that it would be negative 4x minus 19, because we combined negative 28 plus the 9, equals negative 11 minus 6x. Now we need to add the 6x to both sides, so that way we get 2x equals, then we need to add the 19 to both sides, so then that would be equal to 8. And then if you divide both by 2, you will get x equals 4. And that's how you do it.
So, and this is a feature of Flipgrid where, you can just record yourself, but you can also get this whiteboard feature. And I mean, they're doing this on their Chromebook screen. Just
While they're
demonstrating
talking.
something while they're talking. And it was interesting reading, because you'll get different students explaining the same topic in different ways.
Hi, my name is Marlene, and these are the rules of integers: adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplication. For adding and subtracting, for the same sign you add, the different sign you subtract. One thing is, subtraction is adding the opposite. Add a line, change the sign. Here is one example. So the problem is negative 2 subtracted by negative 2. You would start from negative 2 and then you change it to a plus sign, and you change negative 2 to positive, and then you go over it 2 times and make it to 0, like the multiplication.
But, so like this is one example of explaining the same topic, and then this one over here is just another way of explaining the same thing. And sometimes when you're a student, you can explain things 2 or 3 times and it's like, I don't understand it. And then there's a 4th time and it's like, no, that one I understand. And so if you have a topic that you're trying to explain, you can have your students all create, this is how it makes sense to me, and then
They can be the teacher.
they can be the teacher. They can watch their students' responses and like, oh, now it makes sense. Even though you, the teacher, have explained it to me in this way, this other student explained it in a way that just makes more sense. And I was just reading these and it just had that realization, like, I love it when you have that aha moment.